As a professor, you write a lot of things over your career that nobody ever reads, and so I thought it might be nice to write something that people read. I was also frustrated with the state of the art of public speaking textbooks, which were too expensive and too long and too boring, and so I wrote one that was cheaper and shorter and funnier about zombies, and I have zombie socks on today for that. So I wrote a book so that students would have access to a little bit better work. I began with a particular question, and I think I knew I was finished when I had the answer to the question, and that was helpful for me. The earliest sort of public speaking books in the United States in the mid-1800s all the way through around 1913, that era of public speaking books was really recreating Cicero and Aristotle and all these guys from 2,000 years ago. And so all the books to come after that just kind of went back to their 1913 edition and expanded it and expanded it. And so even today, the biggest public speaking books are really recreations of books that were recreations of books that are 1,000 years old. And well, okay, how do we know that works? You know, they weren't doing sort of scientific studies of how audiences respond to things back in ancient Greece. And so we're pretty sure this stuff works. But how do we know? And so I thought, well, let me research what's happening in in the journals and what's the science, and let's find out people's experiences, and let's delve into those questions about what can we know about how persuasion works that we didn't know before, and would that change the way we teach things and do things? And it does, and I do that. And so I had a question, and I think I got to the answer. And of course, it's science, so there's new journals every month. But at a certain point, you're like, I have enough of an answer to my question that I feel confident that when I put this out there, I'm as right as I can be. And there'll be new knowledge tomorrow, but I feel good about what I did. And that's kind of how you feel, how you know when you have enough. I added a few chapters from the earliest edition to the last edition of the book. And one of those chapters was on public speaking and depression, which was complicated. Most people have anxiety about public speaking, and so it's difficult. You'd rather be doing anything else. And what happens inside you when you have anxiety about speaking is complicated, and we have some decent ways to help you with that. But I have a lot of students who, they suffer anxiety and depression, or one or the other. And the way that your mind talks to you when you're depressed is sometimes very different than it is with speaking anxiety. And how that interacts with your confidence and the kinds of things you say and your approach that you need to get up there to be successful is difficult. So in talking with people and working with my students over the years to try to write that chapter and to tell the truth with that chapter and get it right with that chapter was really challenging. And it's the first chapter in any public speaking book about public speaking and depression. And so I was really pleased with how it turned out, but it was that anxiety of knowing for myself, am I getting this right? You know, is this going to be helpful to people? Was hard. In some ways, it's the most important chapter in the book, and that's the one that you're always the most worried about. Don't revise until you finish. Then revise like 100 times. But otherwise, it's a trap to go back and fix the first sentence and the first paragraph and make the most beautiful first paragraph in the world and leave it in your desk because you never finished the project. It's so easy to look back at, oh, you know what I really wanted to do was work on this chapter again. What if I did this instead? And you're stuck on page 20 for the rest of your life. So for me, finish a terrible, terrible, terrible book, then go back and make it a good book. Right? Because it's always going to feel terrible in the middle. Finish it first, and then you're going to be able to fix it. But don't get stuck in the middle. I know so many people who have unfinished projects because they can't stop monkeying around with sentence number 4. We have 24 people here, and half of us are probably in support of the folks in this room. So we live in a world where free is too expensive. There's too much information, there's too many books, there's too many blogs, there's too much on Facebook. We don't have the time for all the free. So at the very least, I think, to market successfully as an independent person, you have to give a lot away for free. And you have to know that from the beginning. That doesn't necessarily mean giving out your book, although it might. But online, I should be able to read a couple chapters. You should have an additional short story that's connected with your book that I can go, if I go to your website, I can download that for free to get interested in your other stuff. You have to give me a reason why I should go. If free is too expensive, we for sure at the very least need to be able to have free. If everything that I want to buy from you is only buyable, if I have to, I'm never going to get there. We're not going to pay attention to free stuff, but if you don't have any free stuff, you're never even going to get that. So that's what I would say. And I think most people are not really thinking that way about their material. They're not thinking about, for each project, what am I going to do for free for people so that if it goes out on Facebook, people have a reason to click, people have a reason to go forward more, and even then it's tough. Otherwise, this would be a packed house,